we have to really study it and know. And what the fine print indicates for us is what we are liable for. And believe it or not, when we accept that contract, by the signing of that contract, we accept all of its criteria, even if we didn't read the fine print. I don't. I'm waiting any time now for there to be a big, heavy charge on my cable bill because I didn't read the fine print. This is what has taken place. Before Jesus came and God's people were operating on the law, they were operating on the letter of the law. They weren't operating on the heart of the law. And what Jesus had done when he begins his Sermon on the Mount, especially when he sets it up, he says, "Think not that I have come to abolish the law and the prophets. I have not come to abolish it, but I've come to complete it." And if what it means to complete it is to make us aware of the fine print, to make us aware of what we are liable for. It's not just so much, well, I didn't do that, so I'm not liable. And Jesus says, yes, you are, and here's why. Here's why we need Him. Here's why. And so we get to a place which it is a passage that makes us feel uncomfortable. As I was reading the scripture to you, I was uncomfortable. You have heard that said, "You shall not commit adultery," and I'm kind of here thinking, oh, I said that word out loud in the church. But it's the truth, and it's what Jesus shared. And we're about truth, and we're about to see in this passage what Jesus begins to shed light on, because Jesus is here to shed light on all sin, not just some sins, but all sin. Because we do know of that scripture that says, all have sinned and come short of the glory of God, found in Romans. And in one sense, what Jesus is doing is he is shining light on that secret place. On that secret place. Shall we pray? Lord, we thank you. And we pray, God, that you would be with us now. That we would move to the heart of what you want to say to us. And what you're trying to say to us. Get us out of the way, Lord. Get us out of the way. And help us to respond. To respond to truth. So that we may hear your voice. We thank you, Jesus. Thank you. Amen. So Jesus says, you have heard that it was said, you shall not commit adultery. He's repeating the law. He's repeating what is found in Exodus 20:14. You shall not commit adultery. Leviticus 20, verse 10, takes it even a step further. If a man commits adultery, both the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. In most cases, in the Ten Commandments, in breaking the Ten Commandments, the punishment for breaking the Ten Commandments is death. Even down to the place where if a child dishonors his mother and father, the law says, according to the law, that that child can be taken outside the outskirts of the camp of the city and be stoned to death. A fact that my mom liked to remind me of when I was a child. When she would say, you're getting off easy with just a spanking. In the old days, I could have taken you to the end of town and had you stoned to death. But because I love you, I'm just going to spank you. I'm going to stop the rocks. But most everything that the Ten Commandments teaches us, the result of breaking that law is death. And so what Jesus is saying is he is expanding upon that. And here comes the fine print. He says, what I tell you is this, but I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lustful intent has already committed adultery with her in heart. And he used that word adultery in this context, has committed adultery with her in his heart. And so keeping with the Levitical law, if a man commits adultery, both the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. In other words, we are liable for that secret thought. We are liable for that. It's not good enough to say, I've never committed adultery. I've always been faithful to my spouse. And Jesus is saying, really? Really? What I tell you is this. What goes on up here, which is secret, the thoughts that you have, the objectification that goes on in this head, you are liable for that. You are liable for that, according to the law. So Jesus gives us a solution to it. And we can see that in just a second. But what he's doing is when he says this, but if a man looks at a woman with lustful intent, he is liable. He has committed adultery. And so what he has done, he shined the light on that secret place. And he said, there is no secrets before God. There is none. You're not safe up here. You can't retreat into the safety just because nobody knows. And the big lie is this: as long as no one knows, I'm okay. Nobody needs to know what's going on in my head. Nobody needs to know the secrets that I have, and we're just going to keep it that way. God, here is God's answer to that lie and to that argument that goes on in our head. And it's a two-word answer. I know. I know. And it's as simple as that, I believe. I don't think it's an accusatory tone. I think it's just truth. I don't think he shouts down from heaven to our heart saying, I know. I think he just simply says, I know. I know. I remember going to my dad one time. I was confessing something. I think I smoked a cigar. And I felt bad about it. You know, I was like a kid. I think I was maybe a freshman, sophomore in high school. And I was out behind the house. And I got a hold of the cigar. I don't know how I got a hold of it. And so I went back there smoking. It was one of those sweet kinds. And I got about, I think I smoked about 1.5 inches off it, and then I was done. And I just was filled with guilt. And I went to my dad, and I said, Dad, I need you to know something. I said, I smoked a cigar behind the house. And he said that. He says, I know. I went, how do you know? I just know. Well, I know how I know, because cigars stink. And no amount of mouthwash or brushing your teeth is going to take that away. But he knew. And there was a lot of things that he knew, that I confessed to him, that I know. Things that I thought were secret. And it wasn't this, I know, young man. It was just simply the stating of truth. And that's what Jesus is doing. Jesus isn't pointing the finger at somebody, and he's not trying to dig up dirt on folks. He's just telling the truth. And this is what happens. There is no secrets with me, I know it. But guess what? I know your secrets. I know your heart. I know what's there. And I still want you. I still want you. I know every filthy imagination thing that you have in your head, and I still desire you, and I still want you. I want to redeem that. And so he brings this out, because where God is concerned, because all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. And Jesus has a solution for this. And he says something kind of odd and strange, and I'm sure it took them aback when he said, you have committed adultery. He said, you have committed adultery with her in your heart. He says this. He says, if your right eye causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away. For it is better that you lose one of your members than that your whole body be thrown into hell. Now, this puts his listeners, specifically the Pharisees, in a precarious position, doesn't it? Because he just called it out. He just called out the sin. He just identified it. And I don't think any of them, I don't think none of them never had a lustful thought in their head, ever. And all of a sudden he's calling them out, and if your right eye offends you, you need to pluck it out. Now the Pharisees were all about outward expressions of righteousness. They were all about that. They wanted to show the whole world, you, me, their neighbors, their friends, each other, their community, how holy and righteous they were, based on how they dressed, how they acted, and how they looked, and what they said, and what they did. And the thing that you wanted to, the best thing, the best reaction they wanted to elicit from you and I, as we looked at them, say, there goes a holy man. And what Jesus has done is just taken that away. Because he's saying, if your right hand has offended you, pluck it out. And so if they do pluck it out, or if the right eye has offended, and they do pluck it out, and they're walking around with an eye patch, oh, not so righteous are we. That law still stands, by the way, and I'm not seeing a lot of people with eye patches. I would be blind, by the way. Just saying that. I know. And then he says that if your right hand offends you, cut it off. Throw it away, for it is better for one of your members than that your whole body be thrown into hell. What as Jesus is talking about is those avenues which lead us to sinful behaviors. And those avenues need to be taken care of. Those avenues need to be blocked off. Those avenues lead to that secret place. And God is saying, Jesus is saying, we need to cut those avenues off. And there's a lot of ways that we can do that. But the avenues are the issue. Now here's the deal. If we want to demonstrate our righteousness, we need to start plucking and cutting. But there's a difference in this. We can ask ourselves in this day and age, especially when we have this thing called the internet, and there are avenues, the opportunities for sin are ripe for the taking. And it's not necessary in the area of lust, in so many other areas as well. Because there's other things that we can lust after. We can lust after things. We can covet what somebody else has. We can look at a catalog, we can go through Amazon Prime and say, ooh, I want that. There's other things that we feel that we can't do without. And we lust after, so to speak. So we need to do something about those avenues. And in cutting and plucking eyes and hands, simply Jesus is making aware that there needs to be avenues. Those need to be closed off. Those need to be cut off. But there's a greater thing than this. And there's a greater truth than just cutting our hands. Now some people would ask the question, says, did Jesus really mean this? Did Jesus really mean for us to pluck our eyes out? Did Jesus really mean for us to cut our hands off? The easy answer would be to say no. He didn't really mean that. I think he really did. I think he really did. I think he meant that in the strict in the strict interpretation of this law, yeah, he meant it. Now, did he expect us to? No. He didn't expect us to. But something, and I think what he is identifying at this point, that something radical must be done about sinful, unrighteous behavior. Something radical must be done. Something must be cut off. Something must be plucked out. Something must. And if you read it, and if you look at it, and if you know Jesus, and if you read Scripture before, you know it has really nothing to do with eyes and hands, but it has everything to do with your heart. It has everything to do with the condition of our heart. I remember a story that was told me by a preacher one day when I was a young man. And he was telling a story about being a counselor at camp. Or being a speaker at high school, Christian high school camp, summer camp. And there was this rebellious young man there who, every time he had free time, nobody could find him because he was off somewhere smoking. Now there are strict rules that he can't smoke. And he kept breaking the rules day after day after day after day. And finally on that inevitable Friday night, when the invitations are made and invitations are come to confess, they're sitting around the campfire, and they're asking people to come forward, and they're asking people to throw sticks in the fire representing sin, and to get rid of things. And this young man stands up very haughtily. He stands up and says, "I know what you want. I know what you want." And he stands up and he reaches into a pocket and he pulls out a half-smoked pack of cigarettes. And kind of looking around, making the display of it, takes the cigarette and starts to throw it into the fire. And the speaker came up and grabbed his hand and said, "Young man, Jesus doesn't want your cigarettes. He wants your heart. People of God, God doesn't want our eyes and our hands. He wants our heart. Because it only in transformation of this can it change the secret places that we safeguarded in our head and our heart. Only in transformation of our heart can we redeem what is up here. It will change how we look at each other. It will change how we deal with each other. That I can say to you, and to say to my sisters in Christ, you are not objects. You are not somebody to be objectified. You are somebody to be loved in the name of Jesus. And as your friend and as your brother in Christ, I want to say to you, because of my transformed heart, because of this, what God is doing in my life, I can honor you. Honor you and give you up to the Lord in your beauty and your grace and in your power. And the same thing can be said in opposite genders. To learn how to see people as they are, as people, beautiful and created by God, and lovely, and not somebody to possess, or something to possess, but something to honor. And it comes through heart transformation. And through heart transformation, many, many things can be changed. So, I don't want to leave the plucking and the cutting off of eyes and hands and just gloss over it. Because that's exactly what was done. Because one of the reasons why we're not sitting here with eye patches and prothesis on our right hands is because somebody already was cut off for us. Somebody already did. Somebody already was punished for our sin. It already happened. It already, here it comes, it already was completed by Jesus Christ. And what is available to us now is through what His righteousness and His righteousness alone is, now we take His righteousness into ourselves, which is transforming. Our behavior doesn't change our heart. His righteousness changes our heart. It has to happen. What's on the inside has to change what is on the outside. And Jesus has done it, and that's His desire for you and for me. And so there is no longer any need for the secret place, because He has redeemed it. He's redeemed it. We walk with Him. We walk in His righteousness. Shall we pray?